evening, everybody. I'm very honored and humbled to be standing in front of all of you today. I titled my talk, Everyone Has a Story to Tell, and this is my story. The journey has been a wonderful and fulfilling one, yet with times when it gets overwhelming, challenging, and frustrating. Yes, overwhelming, challenging, and frustrating. I was working night duty in a postnatal ward, very quiet evening. That was the summer of 2005. Just after midnight, I decided to go to the labor ward and help them. On arrival, I found them busy resuscitating on a young patient who has just delivered a beautiful baby girl. I joined in to help with the resuscitation. Why don't you call the doctor? I asked. We did, and he advised to send her to postnatal ward. By the time the doctor came after he was called, the patient had stabilized. That is why the advice was to send her to postnatal ward. She had 2 drips running at the point when I arrived, ringas lactate, Volven, and yes, 20 units pitocin running. 600 micrograms of misoprostol was inserted already rectally. It seemed like she was stabilizing when we pushed her to the postnatal ward, my ward. I was a junior nurse at the time with 1.5 years of experience, but that evening I was the most senior nurse. On arrival in postnatal ward, when we were transferring her from the stretcher into the bed, she crashed. Immediately we called for the crash team on call. Suddenly, the ward was crowded with everyone wearing a white lab coat. It's been 11 years now, yet never again have I seen such an effort and zeal to save someone's life. Almost every item on the emergency trolley used. This is my story. Before she crashed, she looked at me and said, "Please tell my mother to look after my child." Her name was Leratong. Yes, she did not make it. And I did tell her mother to look after the child, as Leratong had requested. Believe it or not, she's the only patient whose name I have not forgotten so far. That was summer 2005. Summer 2012. I was working in the labor ward at a different institution, this time as the acting manager of the unit. One of the nurses called me just before 5 a.m. to tell me that we had lost a mother. When I arrived in the ward, everyone had a long, sad face. The doctors, nurses, the ward clerk, even the cleaner. It felt terribly cold. None of them wanted to enter in the cubicle, but someone had to go in and perform the last office. Yes, you guessed it right. I had to. Me and one of the nurses, the staff nurses, went into the room to perform the last office and ensure that there is human dignity before the relatives arrive. I may not remember her name, but it is the scene that I will never forget. She laid in the delivery bed, lifeless, and her baby opposite her in the crib, lifeless too. An emergency operation was performed in the ward after she had apparently stopped breathing and her heart stopped beating. Of course, everything that could have been done and should have been done to save her was performed before the surgical extraction of the baby. At least let's save this child. It was a baby boy. His heart did beat a few minutes after the adrenaline was administered, but the little boy did not make it as well. I may not remember her name, but her face and the scene I will never forget. Now, I want you to think about these 3 words: aggression, responsive, and proactive, versus gentle, soft, and caring, with the next story that I'm going to tell. Now, the only word that I'm going to use to define aggression here will be forcefully. I was a senior midwife just after I started working in 2004. And I was working with, I was with a senior midwife just after I started working in 2004. She left me to go for tea for 30 minutes. 30 minutes after, she comes back and the baby is still unborn. The time she went for tea, the patient was pushing. She gave me a very serious look, and with a stern voice, she says to me, "If you're going to be gentle and soft in labor ward, the mother will come to this hospital pregnant, but leave without a child in her hands." I was puzzled as she put on gloves. Until today, I do not know what she said to the patient, but almost immediately, a healthy, bouncy baby was born. But I can tell you that her approach was more responsive, proactive, and aggressive than mine. Call it abuse? I don't know. All I know is that she was, the mother, happy when she left the hospital. Recently, I had an encounter where a very young girl, pregnant, was referred to my institution because she was extremely uncooperative, apparently, according to the midwife at the MOU. She came into my institution. Every one of us had a chance to beg her, convince her, explain to her, but she truly refused to cooperate. She had a birth partner, her mother. She was fully dilated and was fighting off, refusing to push. When I say fighting off, I mean kicking and biting. Eventually, the doctors decided to send her to theater for a cesarean section. We could not even monitor the fetal well-being, let alone sedate her or tokalize her. A cesarean section was performed, and yes, the fetus was lifeless due to hypoxia. Now I tell you this, and I don't know. Had she been attended to, the midwife that I spoke about earlier, who was forceful, could she have had a live baby? I don't know. Is it abuse? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. But these are my stories, and everyone has a story to tell. Thank you.